What I did flip in my class is the actual lectures themselves. I mean, the main theoretical content which I used to deliver to them, to the students, in auditorium. The former version of the class used to consist of 1 hour lecture, which I gave in the auditorium in front of something like 250 students or more, followed by 2 hours of practice, which were done in the computer rooms with the help of some assistants. And then, of course, we asked the students to work home by themselves, doing some homework, some practice. If it did make sense to flip my entire course, well, not really, because the course consists mainly of exercises which were quite successful and there was no reason to change anything there, but only to flip the lectures, because I have a really large class where the students are really from different levels, and so it was hard for some students to follow, whereas it was easy for some others. So I thought it was really useful to put this in a video and to let them learn by themselves at their own learning rate, watching the videos home. What I do with my class time? Well, I simply use it better, because now I can do some practical case studies where I can deliver my experience, and the students can benefit from both my teaching experience, because I'm choosing some typical cases where I know the students used to fail, and also from my practical programming experience, because I can give advice and I answer questions and we can go more in depth. So how I organize my class time is now I'm doing some case study, some practical case study, where I answer the questions of the students and where I can help them to build the solutions, and where they can benefit from my experience, both my teaching experience, because I carefully choose the case I present to them, by choosing some cases where I know the students often fail, and also my programming experience, because I help them building some solutions and giving some programming advice. And then the rest of the class is exactly the same regarding the practice, but of course they first have to watch the lecture home. So the way a learning week is organized now is it starts from here. The students first have to watch the video home, then they come to the auditorium to do a interactive case study with me, and then the rest is as it used to be. They go to the programming classrooms with the assistants and myself also to do some exercises, and then they continue their exercise home. What I should emphasize also is that the students have access to quizzes, in-video quizzes and outside video quizzes, so that they can check the way they acquire the learning material they should know. Why did I keep in-class lectures? There are 3 main reasons why I decided to keep some in-class contact and in the auditorium lecturing somehow, and case studies more precisely. The first reason is because the targeted audience through the MOOC, which is more open than only the EPFL students, is a bit wider. So we decided to go a bit further with our own students in the class. The second reason is that the students, and especially first-year students, which arrived at EPFL, they really ask for a class in the fellowship sense. They really need the social aspect of learning. And furthermore, I learned from former experience that the students, to really learn, they need somehow a framework, a quite strong framework actually for first-year students. So I really want them to meet me every week in a more formal way, so that they have a strong framework which structure their learning. Well, I'm not so sure I understand the question. What they have to do during class time is listen. Well, it's a bit more interactive, of course. They have to come with questions. I ask them to come with questions, ask questions, and to interact about the things I'm telling them about the case study. And sometimes I'm introducing willingly some errors to test the reaction and to see if they react. But I didn't really design some activities for them. They have a lot to do by themselves in the quizzes, in the exercise session. So there is nothing really where they have actually to participate in. I mean, to do some practice in the class. For the at-home online part, what they have to do, what was newly designed, are the quizzes. So this was really a new part, and they have to answer the quizzes home. How I did check if my students watched the video? That's a very good question actually, because that was really puzzling me and my colleagues when we designed this course. We were really wondering how we can check that, because we really have many students, more than 250 students, and actually I didn't find a good answer to that. But what was a good surprise is that it actually came naturally, because what I'm doing now in class is studying case study and going further than the basic material. They have to know this basic material if they want to benefit from the class, from coming. So it naturally went on. They just watch the videos and come prepared to the class. I also should emphasize that I provide them at the very beginning of the course and remind them every week the way they should learn, and provide them a very detailed schedule so that they know where they are, what they have to do. So, for instance, on Friday you have to watch the video, on Monday you come to the class, on Thursday you go to the exercises, etc., etc. So they've got a pretty detailed timeline, so that they know where they are, what we are studying. So this really helps them. But I didn't really introduce a way to check whether they are actually watching the videos. And of course, there are always some students which do not follow your advices. But I think they realize quite early enough that they did something wrong. Through the midterm I organized to assess their knowledge acquisition. If I did support my flipping strategy with some online environment, yes, of course, that was the original design. Actually, the original design was to design a MOOC to benefit from it, and then to use it in the class and to flip the class. So the first move was really to try to put in videos the content and the lectures, and then once we've got that, we decided that could be really useful to flip the class and to bring something new into the class, letting the students watch the video home and of course assessing their learning through quizzes. We were 3 lecturers from EPFL involved in that project, the 2 others being my colleagues Jamil Assam and Vincent Lepetit. And that was really a good deal, because we had plenty of different ideas, ways of presenting the courses. It was also very helpful to review what the others were recording and teaching. So the final lectures really benefit from the fact that we work in team, the 3 together. Then in all the implementation, there are many other people who help us, both from staff and from assistants, from video editing, quiz development, inline production, putting all the material inline, answering and participating to the forums. So we really benefit from the help of many people, much too many to be listed here, but they are listed on our Coursera site. Well, the first reaction of my students were, of course, surprised, because that's something new. But actually, since I'm teaching in the first year, everything is new when they come at EPFL. So that was yet one other new thing among many others. But they were never faced with such a way of teaching. And at the end, I should say it was very well received. They really see the benefit from this new way of teaching, and they really like it. Just maybe a few quotes to illustrate the way the students receive this new material. So just to translate, the MOOC is really very good. It let us learn quite quickly and quite easily the basics of programming. The case study in course are really interesting. Another quote, the course is really interesting, complete, and very well presented. The complement with the MOOC and the in-class lecture is very good. Another quote, this course is very well given with the benefit of the MOOC. The in-class case studies are really interesting and helpful. One last quote maybe if you want. This MOOC is very well adapted to the course. The in-class examples and case studies are very useful. Why did I decide to flip? My only motivation was to both improve the learning rate of the students and their motivation to learn. That's only it. I didn't want to do some pedagogical experiment, neither because that was in the air, that was fancier, or that was hip. I don't care, this kind of thing. And that's not because neither we don't want the students in class anymore. We do want the students in class, but we want to improve the knowledge transfer to improve their learning rate. That's really the motivation. which my expectations were? Well, that's a really good question, because actually what I wanted to do was to improve the learning rate of the students, but I didn't really, frankly speaking, know whether it will work or not, and we were quite stressed the first time we delivered this material. Maybe I was doing something wrong. It was completely new both for me and the students, and fortunately at the end it turned out to be a great success, and indeed the learning rate and the average students did improve. What was the most difficult during the design phase? Well, designing 4 MOOCs, that's really so much work. It was so much work that there are so many things in the design that was really hard. First of all, how to do automated grading, because we introduced automated grading in the course. How to design the quizzes, how to relate the quiz with the video or to put them outside the videos. How to help the students to come to the content, how to design the content itself. So how to organize the MOOC material, how to design the content itself, what to put in the slides and what to say in the video, or to not to put in the slides and to write by hand so that to make it more live. That was, so many things were really difficult during the design phase. Management went quite smoothly. Management is not that difficult. Everything was prepared before, and the management is quite easy, except one thing is the redesign every year, every semester even, the redesign of all the assignments, because we don't use the older assignments, so we redesign everything. So we have to think about the questions, write the good solutions, of course, obviously, and then to write all the grading material and to test all these things. So that's really the most difficult design in the running of all these things. What evidence that it would improve their learning? Well, everybody says that, so shouldn't it? More seriously, we thought that delivering the material at their own rates and letting them studying by their own, the way they want, making some pause in the video where they don't understand, replaying it, or going faster on the trivial things, on the things they found trivial, could only improve their learning. That was our initial thinking. On the other hand, we were really afraid of letting them studying alone by themselves without any teacher, without any constraints or constraining framework, all this basic material they really need. That was really a question whether it will work or not. And fortunately, at the end, it works very well. They are mature enough to understand that they have to acquire this knowledge anyway. And actually, I think at the end, the way we deliver this material to them is really appropriate to them. They really like it, the way we deliver it to watch those videos, answer those quizzes. We've got very good feedbacks on that. There was not really a need to change, except the fact that I always want to improve and to get better. And so I asked myself, what can I do to improve this course? The exercises were already very successful. There was nothing to improve there. It was already top. So my thinking was that I could improve the course along 2 lines. To deliver the material more appropriately to the students, because I've got 250 more students which have completely different background and different levels. So I really wanted best students to only access to what they need, and the new beginners to start from the basics and learn at their own rate. So I didn't have time to do that in class. It was just a mix, an average, and answering, of course, some questions here and there, but it was only average learning. And so I thought, how can I deliver more appropriately what the students need to every student? And the second thing I also wanted to improve for quite some time was to go more in depth into the case practical studies. And I actually have no time to do that during the lectures. So now with the new way of teaching, it's really better, because I really found the time to explain them in details, case study or typical errors they can make, and had address them interactively with them during the class. If I did check the literature review, no, sorry, not at all. No, I didn't communicate to my students the way flipping the classroom will change their experience. Not directly, I would say. However, I'm providing them a very detailed plan of what they have to do, when they have to do what, when they have to watch the videos, so that they are not completely lost in this new way of learning. So the reaction of the students was really, really good. They really liked the way we mix together the videos and the in-class case studies. They really like the way to teach by themselves the basics, to practice the first basics by themselves in the quizzes, and then to come in the class and talk with me and discuss with me the case studies. Here are a few comments if you want to just to illustrate this point from the students. This MOOC class is really good. It let us learn quite quickly and very simply the basics of programming, and the in-class case studies are really interesting. Another quote, this is a really interesting course, complete and very well presented, with the good complement of the videos, which are also very good. Third quote, this course is very well given, with the help of the MOOC. The case studies in class are really interesting. Another quote, video part is very well adapted to the course. In-class examples, case studies are very useful. From 2 years now, I've been giving this class in this new format with the help of videos and case studies in class. The students always, on the 4th semester, were always completely satisfied with that. So where did the flip model make sense in my course? Well, in the knowledge acquisition, and it was really striking to me how the average students improved, and actually it went really well. First, the assistants told me they are asking much more advanced, in-depth questions than they used to the year before. And secondly, in the midterm and also in the final exam, I saw a really shift on the average grade of the average students. So here is just one example. I had several like that in the midterm and also the year after, but this is just one example of the first exam I delivered between the course as it used to be in orange and the course as it was first delivered using the flipping model. So the horizontal axis is the grade. We are grading between 1 and 6, and on the vertical axis you've got the number of students who got that grade. So it's basically a grade histogram, and you can really see the shift here in the average grade of the average students. My overall evaluation of all this experience, well, it's very, very, very good. From all point of view. First of all, I have much better material, much more material, much better material. Then it was very well received by the students. And finally, the students are really much better. I improve the learning, both the learning rate, and I have many assessments of that, and also the motivation to learn. They really like it. What are the benefits I found of flipping my class? Where first of all, the learning material is much more modular, so the students can access whatever content piece they want whenever they want. So they can watch that piece of video. The video are very short. They can review once again this quiz. They can of course go to that exercise. They can redo again an assignment if they want. So much more modular, so they can really design their own learning strategy. Secondly, we've got much more new material, more detailed examples in the videos. We worked on that, which better fills the gap between the courses, the concepts, and the first exercise. So that's really the main benefit I see from flipping the class, is that the students really arrive to the first exercise much more prepared. We have much less basic trivial questions. Now they really enter the first practice exercise at a level they can address it without wondering too much about the basics. So challenges or pitfalls I see you should avoid if you want to flip a class, from my own experience. I don't want to overgeneralize, but from my own experience, what I can recommend is that if you flip your class, the first thing is really you should ensure that the desired content of the lecture actually reaches its target, I mean the students of course. Otherwise it's simply just a huge waste of time. The second piece of advice I could give is, if you flip the class, you shouldn't lose the fellowship, the social dimension of learning, which is, I think, also one of the motivations to learn. The reason why I think flipping the class worked for my case, I don't want to overgeneralize, but for my case it was first because we spent quite some time, and actually a lot of time, developing new material. So it's really time consuming, and it doesn't save time at all. The second reason why it worked for me, it's because it started from an old course. So I knew this course very well. I knew where the students have problems, where I should emphasize this or that, what should be presented into the video form, what should be put into a quiz form. So I benefit from my learning experience. I don't think it is worth flipping a new course. You don't have any hints where to do what. Another reason of the success, I think, was because I clearly indicate from the beginning on to the students what to do when, so that they are not lost with all this material, quizzes, exercise videos, assignments, etc. But they have a very detailed plan, very detailed timeline, so that they are not lost at all, and they can organize their learning along the recommendations I gave them. I should confess that one of my concern is that there is so much buzz about flipping. I'm not so convinced that it is so much about flipping. Isn't it also because we did spend so much time producing new material, improving our material, delivering much more feedback to the students through the quizzes, for instance, and all these things, rather than flipping?